between Governor FUBARA and Minister WIKE, but we'll be discussing the River State House of Assembly crisis, the plot to impeach Governor FUBARA, and appraisal of current situation. And the political analyst is joining us virtually to look at this issue, Opunabo Inkotare, who's already joining us via Zoom. Good morning.
Good morning, Adara. Good morning, Colin.
Please, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. Ready? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Yes, clearly.
We're unable to make out your voice.
We don't seem to be able to hear you.
Can
we
hear
can
you.
hear
Can
him.
you hear me?
I think this.
Can you hear me?
Okay, so let's get your thoughts on what is going on in Rivers State at the moment, even though there seems to be some kind of intervention. But first, give us your personal assessment of the situation, and what transpired between Monday and yesterday.
But you can hear me first. Sorry. Can you hear me?
I'm not sure he heard us.
I heard you. I heard you. I heard you. Yes, I heard you. Okay. First, can you hear me?
We may have to take a break so we can sort out
no, but I can hear you.
Audio issues. We don't seem to hear you.
I can hear you. Hello?
All right, if you can hear us, please go ahead. Tell us the situation in Rivers State as of this morning. I know you're in Port Harcourt.
Well, it's so sad. It's like a thunderbolt. What we heard what happened in Rivers State in the last less than or more than 48 hours. It's a question of the governor of the state trying to resist the pestilence of godfatherism, where he's being controlled by his predecessor. You can imagine a situation where the chief of staff, the ADC to the governor, his personal aides, we are all nominated. I would not say appointed because the governor appoints. We are all nominated by his predecessor. Whatever step the governor will take or should take, he has to get an imprimatur from his predecessor. For example, signing of even mandates. He has to clear with his predecessor to sign the mandate. The governor himself was pushed to a wall. And I think, when a man is pushed to a wall, he bounces back with redoubled effort. And that is the cause of it. He was asphyxiating. He couldn't breathe. His hands were fettered. Many people referred to him as PA to the former governor. That's how they say it. Some say you are special assistant. Some say you are personal assistant to the former governor. There was a point where people were not even respecting him. I'm talking of his commissioners. I'm talking of local government chairmen. Had no respect for him. Now, I give you an instance. He won at the tribunal. He won his case, the governorship election case. And that victory was celebrated in Abuja. All these assembly members, the local government chairman, flew into Abuja to celebrate with GSM WIKE. GSM WIKE was not the one who contested the election. He was not the one who won at the court. But why do you have to fly into Abuja? The governor said how to call people to come to government house to celebrate with him, few friends to celebrate with him. This is how bad the situation was. So he was not in charge at all. And I think the issue of the Songhai farm to resuscitate the farm, because the Songhai farm was to generate employment for Rivers people and will also generate funds for Rivers people. And that Songhai farm was set up by Rotimi Chibuike Amechi. This is a government that is not interested in what the problems were before now. He is only interested in the people-oriented government, only interested in how to empower his people. So whoever set up that farm was immaterial. And for 8 years, that farm was in limbo. Nothing really happened. Deliberately so, because the more money was pumped into it, the farm, in fact, it was less dead. Let me put it that way. So the governor felt, no, this farm would generate revenue for the state and will also gainfully employ Rivers people. That infuriated the former governor. The implication is, are you calling me a bad man? Are you saying I didn't know what I was doing when I abandoned that farm? Then we also talk of the appointment of a commissioner I'm talking of the new commissioners that you are just appointed, about 5 of them, without getting clearance. And the former governor was also angry. How will you appoint a commissioner without getting clearance? Don't forget that before now, this is just the climax of what a build-up. Because before now, in the last 1 month or thereabout, he wanted to appoint some commissioners, and the former governor, who is now the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, flew into Rivers State, and they had a shout out. The governor was very angry, the former governor was very angry with him, and the present governor, to a point, even said, I will leave this office for you, if that is what you want. And Rivers people were angry. How can you leave? We made you a governor. You're holding that in trust for us. You cannot, because of one man's stupidity or one man's dictatorship, leave that office. It's not possible. And I think that gave him some sort of courage, because even what happened on that day, where a governor is being shot at, that is mutiny. Now we are discussing the issues. Now we are saying the president has waded into the matter. What if the governor had been killed on that very day? What would have happened? That would have been the end of the story. No matter what you do, that would have been the end of the story. And look at the policemen. Your governor is coming. You're using tear gas, you're using cannons, you're using hot water, and so what kind of a system are we in? The Inspector General of Police is expected to investigate that matter and ensure that the culprits are brought to book. Because and the governor himself said the Deputy Commissioner of Police Operations, he was quite specific. And you knew that was a governor approaching, yet you open fire. You use a tear gas. It's unheard of. It's unnerving. It's incredible. And for the DC to have done that, he acted on instructions. Let us not pretend about it. There's no point in embellishing the fact. For him to have done that, he acted on instruction. Probably the instruction was go and kill the governor and let the heavens fall. Probably that is the instruction.
Okay.
So when you come to the River State House of Assembly, we don't really know what really went on in the River State House of Assembly. First, they removed the leader. Of course, they had a session. They removed the leader. After removing the leader, there was a kind of somersault, and within a short period, those who supported the removal of the leader had a somersault and decided to support that leader that was removed and gave him their support, and he emerged as the speaker. But as we speak right now, we're in quandary as to who is the speaker, because both factions are laying claim to speakership of the House of Assembly, University House of Assembly. So we expect the governor to make a pronouncement on that. But he quickly congratulated the former leader, Edison. So if you ask me, I think he is the speaker, because the governor will know who his speaker is, although it's an internal affair, which is the River State House of Assembly affair.
All right, well said. Now, I heard you echo some of the sentiments that we have seen run through the political space in the past, 2 days. One, you spoke about dictatorship of the former governor, Nyesom Wike. In fact, all through the social media conversations yesterday, and even on some prime newspapers, certain political pundits did echo that perhaps this is a time where Nyesom Wike learns a lesson or two about narcissism and dictatorship, because the people of River State had stood up to him and, were expecting some sort of mosaic intervention through FUBARA. Other people would argue that, well, this is your godfather, whether you like it or not. He put you in office. He particularly sponsored the campaign. However, isn't there a boundary to all of those incursions from the former governor, even though he spearheaded that campaign? Now that Sim is governor, isn't the right thing to do is to support him and ensure that the state move forward rather than creating, unnecessary distractions?
Yes, like rightly said, I mean, for you to achieve anything, you must be supported by somebody. Whether in the home, even as a father, if you say, oh, I am responsible for the welfare of the kids, take it or leave it. The mother has a role to play. There are certain roles. In fact, in the emergence of anybody, you see, there are those you see, and there are also those that are behind the scene. It's not done by one person alone. Now, talk of River State, for example. Who assisted Wike when you contested for the local government chairmanship? That was the most controversial election, local government election we've ever had in River State. Somebody supported him. And even when he was about to go for a second term, the man who supported him told him no. In Obia, well, it's just one term. That is the practice. He ran to the likes of Justice Mary Odilianku, and they gave him the support. He ran for a second term. After that, he became chief of staff. Chief of staff, he became governor. Who made him the governor? Of course, Jonathan, Patience Jonathan. The world knows. And how did he treat the Jonathans after he became a governor? He treated them with disdain. Now, today is a minister. Who made him the minister? Yes, he played a role. But it's not all those that supported Bola Tinubu are giving portfolios. No doubt he played a role. Let's not even go into the so-called role he played, because it is quite disgraceful. But let's not go into that. He played a role and he made a minister. Now you talk of FUBARA. I agreed, against all odds. You brought in FUBARA. He's not a politician. He's a technocrat. But you also have a reason for bringing FUBARA, because it's a symbiotic relationship. FUBARA was a cashier when you're a local government chairman. It was the DFA when you're in government house. It was the accountant general of the state. So definitely you have a reason. You know, this fear of being consumed by the very smoke you burst up is the problem. He thought with FUBARA, because of his demeanor and all whatnot, that he can oppress him. He can tell him what to do. He can dictate to him. He didn't want to give the ticket to the likes of Lee Meba, the likes of Abie Sekobo, the likes of Asodopara and co, because probably they are going to assert their independence. They will not koto. There are going to be a compromise. At times you say, do this, and the man will say, no, I think we should do this. But even if you are responsible for the emergence of somebody, your personal ambition should not be allowed to outdistance the ambition of the Rivers people. That is the truth. And so you should appreciate your limits. You should know when to call, when to intervene and when not to intervene. They said he did a lot of things in the last 8 years. What did he actually do? Let us say the fact. Construction of roads. How many persons were empowered? I'm not talking of personal relationship. We are talking of general. How many persons were empowered? If, for example, you claim you built 12 flyovers, do we really need 12 flyovers? That is the question. That is the burning question. Because you can build 12 flyovers to further or line your own pockets. We all know that one way of making money is by giving out contracts. Do you need the 12? Now, after building the 12 flyovers, what of those, the Rivers people, can they afford the vehicles to drive on those flyovers? Can they maintain their vehicles? So I always tell people, I say, instead of building 12 flyovers, you would have built 7 flyovers and use about the money for 3 or 4 flyovers to set up industries. I remember Chris Feinborn saying, Oplabo is living in the past, you don't set up industries. And I just laughed. It could be PPP. What of the Songhai farm? You can set up, government can set up industries, public partnership. All you need is a good hand to manage those industries. All over the world, governments have industries. You need a good hand to manage those industries. Industries are killed when they are government owned because the industries, the appointments are based on patronage, not meritocracy, but mediocrity. And most times, even the governments are involved in fleecing such industries dry. You can't tell me that government has no hand in certain industries. What are the Songhai fine we're talking about? Is it not government?
All right. Inko.
So these are the issues. The fear of being consumed by the very smoky bellstorm. Oh, this man. Because don't forget, the governor is also a human being. He's not an isolated anemic individual. Even his wife, his children, his friends, and go tell him, my friend, we don't see you at governor's forum. What is happening? Even going to Abuja, the man was almost restricted from going to Abuja to attend the National Economic Council meeting and so on. He was more or less like a slave. And don't forget, every spirit revolts at tyranny. You push a man to the wall, he bounces back with a doubled effort. Only a tree remains to be cut. Only a tree.
All right. Inko.
And that is exactly what happened. Yes.
Well, all of these are still in the realm of speculation because even though these things are being said, but none of the 2 men involved in this has come out to say this is exactly what the situation is. Even WIKE himself says these are allegations and then he will not lose sleep over them. So until we hear directly from
I don't think anybody will want to say anything.
Okay, so let's move on to what is happening at the Rivers State House of Assembly, really, because even as at last night, the Rivers State House of Assembly announced that there is no change in its leadership, you know, from what we also heard before that time. They briefed newsmen, and they did say that 26 out of 32 members still insist that Martins Mehule remains the authentic Speaker of the House. But we also hear Ehi Edison and some other lawmakers are claiming the leadership of that House. But with the President's intervention, really yesterday. How do you see this issue being resolved? Because these 24 lawmakers in question have also signed and passed a motion for the suspension of all and the impeachment of the Rivers governor and the suspension of even Ehi and the other 3 lawmakers that are with him. So how do we resolve this thing going forward? Which of this suspension, which of the sack, which of all of these issues stays and which one goes at the end of the day to see that this problem is resolved?
Well, first of all, we're happy with the president's intervention, no doubt about that. We all pray for peace anywhere in the world. And at the end of the day, you attain peace through a roundtable discussion, no doubt. But what I can tell you now is that the peace we have in Rivers State is the peace of the graveyard. You know, when you go to the extent of serving a governor with an impeachment notice, you know what that means. And the first question that will flick through your mind is, what are the impeachment offenses? Up till now, we've not heard, we are not aware. What are the impeachment offenses? What crime has he committed? It simply means you're acting on the orders of somebody. Then when you talk of the House, and first, that must be withdrawn. That impeachment notice must be withdrawn. And they have to apologize to the governor or tell the world the offense the governor has committed. They must. Then after that, talking of the House of Assembly, it is within their rights to say who is their speaker and who is not their speaker via an election. So Edison is saying, no, he's the speaker, he's the new speaker, and the governor congratulated Edison as the new speaker. Ameole is saying, no, he remains the speaker. Nobody has congratulated him except from those same members, some of those members who were with him when they removed Edison as leader and when they served the governor the impeachment notice. So what is the president saying now, having intervened? Is he saying, because there has to be a statement, because Rivers people are in quandary as to who their speaker is. But if you ask the Rivers people now, who is your speaker? Majority of them will say Edison, because that is the person the governor congratulated. And if anybody should know who his speaker is, who the speaker is, it should be the governor. So having intervened, there has to be an official statement to Rivers people to say, we haven't resolved these issues. Because what is going on now is the management of an issue. And if you manage an issue, there's that propensity for it to rehash, the problem to rehash. So we are talking of resolution of an issue. So there has to be an official statement where they will tell us who the speaker is and if they have actually resolved the issue. Because right now it is just management of an issue and not resolution of the issue. That's why I say it's peace of the graveyard. But I can tell you a lot of Rivers people are happy with the development. And why are they happy with the development? The liberation of Governor FUBARA and the government house. If you go to government house, you will see thousands over there. Because all kinds of persons, people have started weaving all kinds of interpretations into what happened. The fear of removing an Ijaw governor so that the deputy governor who is not Ijaw will take over. Don't forget that for 24 years, the upland has ruled. People say, well, we should not go into that matter. We will go into that matter. You can't stop me from reasoning the way I reason. So after 24 years, we have an Ijaw governor. We clamored, and there's an Ijaw governor. Now, within 5-6 months, you want to remove the Ijaw governor on flimsy excuses so that the uplander will take over as a governor.
So is it dovetailing? Is the matter dovetailing into ethnic issues now?
Oh, yes, that's what I'm telling you, because that's interpretation. Meaning is not in a message, but in a message user. So even when speaking, you choose the right word. All words are in a basket. You choose the right word from the word basket. Because once it is gone, the word once spoken is past recall. How I interpret a situation. We are all journalists, and you know what I'm talking about. The story of the elephant. Some will say the ear is larger. Some will say the nose is larger. Some will say this. So present, and it depends on your point of view. So present the full elephant so that everyone will know which is largest and which is smallest. That is the truth about it. That's why I say all kinds of interpretations are moving into this whole saga right now.
All right.
So let Mr. President, who has also intervened and told the world that he has intervened, also said either his aide to speak on the matter, that yes, the matter has been resolved, and let the governor also speak. We are not even worried about whether WIKE speaks or not. It's not our government anymore. Let the governor make a pronouncement to say, this is my speaker, and because silence is dangerous at this moment.
Yes, it's supposed to mean accent. Let me come in here and open up. And this is going by your, you know, just your interlude now, talking about whether WIKE speaks or not is, you know, the irrelevance of it. And you understand and have also heard that WIKE has been referred to as a stormy petrel in Nigerian politics with disruptive and dynamic tendencies, somebody who has assumed a God complex in the murky waters of Nigerian politics. But going forward,
it's a case of narcissistic personality disorder.
Yes, absolutely. But that's your opinion. But going forward, and in order for him to be able to understand the boundaries between, you know, him being a godfather and the role of the governor as chief executive officer, perhaps this is also a lesson to other godfathers who, you know, like you say, you pave the way for other incoming young people or other dynamic personalities whom they've chosen to succeed them. What would be your advice to Nyesom Wike this morning going forward? Because we have also had dynamics that he could be heading into political oblivion if he decides not to sheath his sword and continue to wage war on River State through FUBARA.
This will be the beginning of his political nadir. I can say that because look, there are two different things: being loved by Rivers people and being feared by Rivers people. Let's take the dark communications, for example, AIT in River State. What happened to it? Let's be honest. You know, the truth is, Dokwesi supported Atiku. That has been there since the days of Odele. There can never be a crueler tyranny than that perpetrated under the shield of the law. He supported Dr. Atiku, and he paid for it. That is just one instance. It happened in so many cases in River State. It happened with Honorable Chiri. It's so many. They have a plethora of cases to bolster these assertions. So what he should do is exercise caution. Being licentious will be spelling doom for him. Because already, I can tell you what happened. I told you what happened. A lot of people came out in defense of FUBARA. Not necessarily because they love FUBARA, but because it was like enough is enough of this dominance, right, from a governor. The way he spoke to our traditional rulers, the way he talked to people, and so on. No respect to anybody, but you want to be respected. You want to be feared. I am the God. He has to exercise some caution, some restraint. And if that is done, and also know his boundaries. And if that is done, he'll be, because FUBARA, I must be honest with you, still has a lot of respect for the man. A lot of respect for the man. He reveres him. But every spirit revolts a tyrant. And if allowed, then he'll be asphyxiated because he's already pushed to the wall. So he has to bounce back. That bouncing back is what you see today. And that fear of being consumed by the very smoke he burst up is responsible for his actions. You're the FCT minister. Every weekend you're in Port Harcourt. And we all know, not because you love Port Harcourt so much, you are here all through your life. You had the brief stay as a minister for state, came back as a governor 8 years, now every day, just to come and control. Have you ever heard of seeing FUBARA's wife? No.
All right, I hope you want to head into
Is it that the man is just joining? Okay. Is that, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
I
hear you. Go ahead.
The PDP Governors Forum. Is that not a shame? Have you ever heard of the First Lady of River State? Valedictory Church Service, the former governor told him, forget about First Ladies and so on. Concentrate. That's what the man said. Is that supposed to be? Are you supposed to tell the man how to live, how to rule, how to govern? No, it's wrong. It's wrong.
All right.
So let him exercise some restraint and no problem.
Okay, so this is about the soul of River State and the Rivers people. And many are wondering why it will get to a point of even setting the revered hallowed chamber of the State Assembly, you know, on fire. And now there are accusations here and there as to who could have done that. So what do you think should be done going forward? Because at the end of the day, the Rivers people are the ones that are in for all of this. Is it a matter that could have led to, you know, setting ablaze the hallowed chamber of the State Assembly?
Those are the kind of politicians we have. It is left for the people, for the security agencies to investigate the matter And I just hope it not be swept under the carpet in the name of reconciliation. Let us know who did that. Now, today we are talking of the hallowed chambers of the Riverside Assembly. Tomorrow it could be the government house. Tomorrow it could be the judiciary. Don't forget that the judiciary was once locked, was under lock and key by a former governor. We don't want all this kind of brazen display of power. So that has to be investigated. And the reports made public, the findings made public. And whoever is involved is brought to book so that it will serve as a deterrent. Because at the end of the day, you're still going to spend the taxpayers' money to rebuild that place. And you still complain you don't have money. Apart from the ones that they will take to further align their pockets, they will still have to rebuild that place. I mean, that is completely unacceptable. Right now, I cannot tell you who is responsible for that. I cannot because we don't have the facts. Let the security agencies investigate, let the police investigate, let the SSS investigate. This is when they should act. It's not when to detain and prosecute innocent persons for political reasons. This is when we expect them to act. They should investigate the matter and all the culprits brought to book. They should not.
Now, this is one problem too many, Opunabo, you know, really, because we've had this over time in Nigerian politics. At the end of the day, you as a governor, outgoing governor, you choose who will take over from you, sort of imposing the person on the people. And at the end of the day, the person turns back at you. What do you think is responsible for all this kind of relationship between the predecessors and
quickly,
the successors?
I'll tell you that quickly now. Take, for example, you know, I'm not now talking of the FUBARA situation because from what we gathered, it was even reluctant.
Absolutely.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead,
Yes.
please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, that he was going to be chosen as the next governor or governorship candidate. But the truth is, I call it the pestilence of godfatherism. You know, because you're instrumental to the emergence of somebody as a governor, you believe that you have caged that person and you want to control even the air that the person breathes. Even when the person should go to bed with his wife, when the person should have discussions with members of his family, who visits that person, you want to, so the person is more or less caged and you get choked. If, for example, you're gasping for breath, you're in a room and you're gasping for breath, the first thing you do is to run out. It's a natural thing. It just happens without anybody telling you. You want to run out. I'm not talking of the asthmatic patients where you start looking for your inhaler and so on. I'm saying, for example, you're in a room and you're gasping for breath. You dash and you run out of the room. You look for every escape route. It's like water. They say, fellas say, water must find its level. It's like water. So that is the problem. And most times the godfathers are licentious. They don't exercise restraint. They believe that the man that their successor is beholden to them. And so whatever they say, he has to do willy-nilly. But even if you have a child and that child is grown, you can even tell that child, I don't want you to marry Mr. A or Miss B. And the child will tell Daddy, no, I must marry that A or marry that B. There are times to cause a rift between you and the child forever. There are times people reach accommodation on, well, okay, why do you want to marry this? Okay, if it will make you happy, get married. Or if you marry this person, I will never support you again. That is just the situation now. If you appoint this person, then I will never support you again. You're becoming disloyal. You know, the loyalty, the question of loyalty in Nigeria is highly subjective, and it has a what meaning right now. Normally, you're loyal to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you're loyal to the constitution of the country, but now your loyalty is to individuals. And that's why even when the Supreme Court said in Nigeria you vote for parties and not for individuals, it is so funny. You're talking of an ideal situation where you have party ideologies, and not in Nigeria where you don't have ideologies. Your membership of a party is dependent on that your leader. If your leader today moves from party A to party B, you move from party A to party B immediately. You're not in that party. So it has nothing to do with ideology. But we know why that judgment was given. So that is the problem. The pestilence of godfatherism and the need for liberation.
Okay.
Liberation on the part of the godson and pestilence on the part of the godfather.
All right. So just before we go, I know that we don't have enough time. I think a few seconds to part on this conversation. What would also be your advice to those who are chosen or those who are appointed? Because, again, I hear you talk about the pestilence of the godfathers, but then, I mean, it takes an individual to want to be subjugated and to lose his sense of self and sense of direction. At what point do they create the boundaries and say, I understand that this is for the benefit of both our relationship, but I would also have a sense of say in the matter?
Most times, I'll tell you what, like greed, stupidity, most times is a bane. Let's say I'm the godson, and what I get every month is 10 billion. I'm being hypothetical now. It's 10 billion. And you say, I'll make you a godson. You're going to succeed me. Every month you're going to give me 6 billion. It is natural. I'll tell you yes. I'll tell you yes. Let's be honest with ourselves. I'll say, in fact, sir, I'll make it 8 billion. The first thing is to go in. For you to change the system, you must infiltrate the system. It is difficult to change the system from the outside. So when I get in and I look at the circumstances, take issues under advisement, I might give the first 8 billion the first month, give you another 8 billion the second month. Don't forget, I also want to leave my legacy, not just your legacy. I even want to outperform you in office. So what do? The third one, I say, okay, sit down, let us discuss. This 8 billion I'm giving to you is affecting this. These are my projects, these are my projects, these are my plans as a governor. I'm reducing it to 6 billion. The crisis has started. This was not our agreement. We said 8 billion. But don't forget that if I keep giving you the 8 billion, then I cannot carry out my function as a governor creditably.
So why did you agree in the first place? That's my question.
What of my jobs and so on?
Why did you agree in the first place? I mean, you got into a gentleman's agreement and halfway, so people would also want to blame you.
If you're a decent government, why will you ask me in the first place what I will give to you? Are you supposed to collect money? You collect your salary every month. As a former governor, you get almost 100 million a month and other benefits. Why will you, if you're not greedy, why will you ask me how much I'll give to you? Why will you ask me? Yes, we are both guilty. But in fact, in most cases, a lot of persons will say, I'm even smarter. Because you have to infiltrate to be able to get, to be able to be there. If I say no, you go and call another person. The person will, and we are still going to have the same problem. You are too greedy to ask me to give. And this is hypothetical now. But this is, in most cases, is the problem. So why will you ask me to give you money? If you're a governor for 8 years, you're a president for 8 years, why will I give you money?
But Opunabo, you understand more than, sorry to come in here.
Are they not enough for you?
So sorry to come in here because, they would usually say that politics is a game of interest, Opunabo, and that he who pays the piper detects the tune. And hold on, and rightfully so, you also understand that when people decide to appoint or, decide on a successor, they also finance that process. And so the argument by some people would say, well, there were finances expended. Yeah, they would want to recoup through their predecessor and all of that, hula baloo. But then my question again is, at what point, I mean, from the concept of the discussion of engagement, does the appointee or the anointed one decide to create boundaries without necessarily seeming like he's being obtrusive?
No, that's the problem. It's a consensus circle of conspiracies and articulated interest. Conspiracies. Underline that. Conspiracies and articulated interest. So, first and foremost, you say you spent money. The man might decide to say, okay, in the next 6 months, 8 months, or 1 year, the next 6 months, the next 5 months, there is no way you must have spent that kind of money on his emergency as a governor or as a president. It's not possible. Because we are talking about billions of naira. Then now the greed comes in. It's going to be for the first 4 years, or it's going to be for the first 8 years. How will a man pay? I will tell you yes now. No problem. Once I clear the debts, the backlog of how much you said you spent, every month, no, I might even decide to give you. The governors in most cases are not saying they are not going to give at all, or the president, not at all. Now the problem is the reduction. I might say, okay, I give you for the first 5 months, take. That will cover for whatever you spend. And then every year, for another 2 years, you take, instead of me giving you 5 billion naira now, I'll give you 1 billion naira. That one is just like being instrumental to my emergence as a governor or as a president. Even other appointments, ministerial appointments, commission, they happen. These things happen. Oh boy, I'm responsible for your appointment too, so you must give me this contract. No problem. But does that mean I'll give you the contract for the rest of your life? Or for as long as I remain in office?
So
let us also be reasonable that there are other people also coming to you and there are other responsibilities. So the onus is now on the man. At whose instance the other person emerged to also be reasonable and exercise caution. To say, look, I'm exceeding my boundaries. I think I've disturbed this. Even when you ask your friend for money, for example, and your friend tells you, take, you go tomorrow, take, you go, you should have this sense of, oh, no, I've asked this one for money for too much. I won't go there again. He gave me the last 3 times. What if I go, he doesn't give to me? Or what if, or is it, am I taking advantage of his leniency or his sympathy? You should think. You should also think. Okay, the WIKE we're talking about, did he allow anybody to control it?
All right.
He was there for 8 years, so we knew what happened.
We must thank you very much. Maybe going forward, we'll be thinking of whether there should be, this thing should be clearly spelled out and ironed out before the person accepts that offer.
They will never tell you in public. They will never tell you in public.
That offer.
To be discussed in the room, it's like...
All right, thank you so much for your thoughts on this issue. We've been speaking with Opunabo Inko Tari.